Hey Cowboys Nation, let's talk about the state of the NFC right now, because it is wide open, and there isn't really a team that's standing out as a juggernaut. No unbeatable forces. No teams that are truly dominating the league at this point. It's a perfect storm for Dallas to make a move, and with Dak playing at an MVP level, you can see why there's a sense of opportunity here. The problem is, if we're being honest, the Cowboys are still a little bit on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoff picture. They're not in a hopeless position by any means, but they're not exactly sitting pretty either. At this stage, they're 12th in the NFC, and that means there's work to do. This is early in the season, sure, but even early on, you have to recognize the urgency of finding an edge and making moves that can boost the defense to the next level. Now, when we break down the pass rushers for Dallas, the numbers are interesting, but not exactly jaw-dropping. Dante Fowler has put together 14 pressures so far this season, which translates to about a 13% pressure rate. Sam Williams is at 11 pressures with roughly a 10.5% rate, and James Houston comes in with 8 pressures at 14.8%. Donovan is steady at 8 with an 8.3% rate, and Janavion Clowney has 4 pressures at 11.4%. Marshawn Nelland has just 3 with a 5.5% rate. You see, these numbers show a mixed bag of performance. Some flashes of excellence, but no one currently commanding double attention from opposing offensive lines. And that's really the issue here. Dallas doesn't have a true number 1 edge rusher who can create their own orbit, someone who can change the dynamic of a game on their own. Fowler and Houston have their moments, and I like what they bring as pass rushers, but neither of them is a complete package. Their run support is lacking, which complicates things when they're on the field against power-running teams. Houston, in particular, can be a liability at times in those situations. This edge rusher room is what we knew it was going to be after the Micah Parsons trade. You don't necessarily need more bodies. They've got 6 players they can rotate through if necessary. But the problem isn't depth, it's impact. There's nobody here that forces the opposition to game plan specifically for them. That's the kind of player that elevates everyone around him, opens up lanes, and makes the defense more effective overall. Pulling off a trade for that type of player is easier said than done. There are options out there, but you have to aim high. Going after someone just to fill a slot doesn't solve the problem. You have to bring in a difference maker, a guy who can change the equation on the edge. When we look at potential trade targets, Trey Hendrickson immediately comes to mind. He's a high-profile edge who could be available, and he's having a solid season with 13 tackles for sacks and a 14.3% pressure rate. The Bengals, however, are in a strange situation themselves. They started 2-0, but with Joe Burrow going down, everything fell apart quickly. Hendrickson's contract is a factor too. Dallas would owe his prorated salary, around $16 million for the season, which is a substantial number, but not insurmountable if you believe he can fix the pass rush. He has shown he can produce in critical moments. For example, in a game against the Lions, he earned 2 sacks with only 2 pressures, which shows efficiency and impact. The question becomes whether the Cowboys are willing to give up a first-round pick or a high-value asset to get him. It's about weighing the cost against the immediate boost he could bring to the defense. Other names to watch are coming out of Miami. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are both edge rushers who could be traded, but the price and contract situations are key factors. Phillips just had his first sack of the season, but his pressure rate remains high, suggesting more production is coming. He's set to become a free agent after this season, and his 5th-year option is fully guaranteed at $13.25 million for the upcoming campaign. That's a heavy investment if Dallas wants to bring him in mid-season, and the trade compensation for Miami could further complicate the deal. Bradley Chubb, on the other hand, has a lower pressure rate, but finishes well on the pressures he does get, converting them into sacks effectively. His contract is slightly more favorable, with manageable cap implications for the Cowboys, but Miami doesn't have an immediate need to move him unless the trade compensation is right. Both represent potential upgrades, but it's about balancing cost, availability, and immediate defensive impact. Then there's the Saints, another team to monitor for potential edge additions. Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson are 2 players who could be in play, but both come with their own questions. Jordan is a veteran, cheap, but his age and production trends make it uncertain if he can still be an impact player at the highest level. Granderson has 4.5 sacks so far this season, but his pressure rate is only 7%, suggesting the sack numbers might not sustain over time. Contractually, both are manageable, but the real question is impact. Would adding them truly elevate Dallas' edge group? Or are they just body additions with limited upside? New York also has options. Kayvon Thibodeaux of the Giants and Will McDonald IV from the Jets are both worth considering, though for different reasons. Thibodeaux is in a crowded rotation and could be available, and while his sack numbers aren't eye-popping, his pass production and ability to generate pressure make him intriguing. McDonald is young and under team control with a lower salary, but the Jets may not be willing to move him, especially given his potential to develop. Both represent calculated gambles, players who could contribute immediately or grow into impact roles, depending on coaching and fit. Max Crosby is the obvious top-tier edge everyone talks about. He brings elite production, run support, and game-changing ability, but the Raiders just paid him, and they are unlikely to trade him mid-season. It's realistic to think he could be available next offseason if the situation deteriorates, but right now, the timing isn't there. Meanwhile, lesser-known names like Tyree Wilson in Vegas or David Ojabo in Baltimore could be worth monitoring, though they come with lower ceilings and higher risk. The key for Dallas is identifying an edge player who can make an immediate difference without mortgaging the future too heavily. Ultimately, the Cowboys' edge situation is a puzzle. They have talent, depth, and flashes of greatness, but they lack a true game-changer. Dak is performing at a level that demands more from his defense, and the team's playoff hopes hinge on adding someone who can consistently pressure the quarterback and elevate the group. The trade market is complicated with costs, contract structures, and potential compensation all factoring in, but the opportunity is clear. Find the right edge rusher, and Dallas could turn from a team on the outside looking into a serious contender in the NFC. This is a moment where smart moves, calculated risks, and aggressive strategy could define the season for America's team. Looking deeper into the Cowboys' edge situation, it's clear that the team has a few pieces that can be productive, but no one who consistently demands attention from offensive lines. James Houston, for example, has moments of brilliance but struggles in run support, which makes him situational rather than a cornerstone. Dante Fowler is capable of flashes, but consistency is the issue. He can produce big plays when the conditions are right, yet he hasn't demonstrated the ability to dominate over multiple series against top-tier competition. Donovan, Clowney, and Marshawn Nelland are all rotational pieces, and while they contribute, none of them force offenses to adjust their game plan. That's the missing element, the kind of player who creates chaos simply by being on the field. The Cowboys' depth is solid, but depth doesn't win games at the highest level. You need impact. That's why the trade conversation is so crucial right now. You can bring in bodies, but unless one of them has the ability to generate pressure consistently and influence the offense without assistance, the upgrade is marginal. Trey Hendrickson is an example of a player who could change the dynamic immediately. With his ability to get to the quarterback efficiently, he could force defenses to consider multiple gaps, open lanes for other rushers, and make life easier for the secondary. The cost is steep, especially with the prorated salary and potential draft compensation, but the payoff could be transformative for Dallas' defensive front. Looking at Miami's options, Jalen Phillips is intriguing because of his high pressure rate and the likelihood that he'll be a free agent after the season. He's shown that when he's healthy, he can produce sacks and create disruption consistently. His fifth-year option is guaranteed, which adds complexity, but if the Cowboys can negotiate a deal that doesn't sacrifice premium draft capital, he could be a valuable addition. Bradley Chubb presents a different profile. Lower pressure rate, but highly efficient at converting pressures into sacks. Chubb is a bit older, but his contract situation is manageable, and if Miami is willing to trade him, he could offer immediate impact with minimal financial risk. Both players represent opportunities to address the edge deficiency, but Dallas has to balance the cost against the immediate gain. The Saints' edge options add another layer of intrigue. Cam Jordan is a veteran who is affordable and still capable of production, but his age and physical limitations raise questions about sustainability. Carl Granderson has been productive this season with 4.5 sacks, but his low pressure rate suggests that the production may not be consistent over time. Financially, both are within reach, but the real concern is whether they can elevate the Cowboys' edge to a level that transforms the defense. Adding them would bring experience, but the question remains whether experience alone is enough to create the kind of pressure that forces mistakes from opposing quarterbacks. New York presents some interesting possibilities as well. Kayvon Thibodeaux of the Giants is a player with potential who hasn't fully broken out yet. He's been part of a crowded rotation, which limits his opportunities to showcase his skills, but past performance indicates that he could contribute meaningfully if given a larger role. Will McDonald-Ford from the Jets is younger and cost-controlled, which is attractive for Dallas from a financial standpoint. His production so far this season hasn't been spectacular, but he has flashes of impact, and his youth provides upside. Both are calculated gambles, players who could either develop into reliable contributors or remain situational options, depending on scheme fit and coaching. Max Crosby remains the premier edge target that would immediately elevate the Cowboys' defensive front. He combines elite pass rush ability with run support, which addresses multiple deficiencies at once. The challenge is timing. The Raiders just paid him, and they're unlikely to trade him mid-season. Next offseason, the scenario could change, especially if the Raiders' performance continues to falter. But for now, Crosby remains a long-term target rather than an immediate solution. Lesser-known options like Tyree Wilson, David Ojabo, Joe Trishurnoa, and Alex Wright exist, but they carry lower ceilings and higher risk. These players might provide rotational depth or developmental potential, but they aren't game-changers in the current moment. All of this underscores the strategic challenge facing Dallas. The team has talent, depth, and flashes of excellence, but without a true edge force, the defense remains vulnerable in key moments. Dak Prescott's MVP-level play puts pressure on the rest of the team to perform, and the edge rush situation is the most immediate gap to address. The Cowboys have to weigh the potential benefit of acquiring a top-tier player against the cost of draft picks, salary, and long-term flexibility. Every move matters because the margin for error is small. A misstep could cost playoff positioning or the chance to compete against the league's best teams. There's also a broader strategic consideration. Adding the right edge rusher does more than generate sacks. It changes how offenses prepare and execute. A dominant edge player forces quicker throws, creates lanes for other defenders, and can even influence offensive play calling. This kind of impact is subtle but profound. It can turn a good defense into a great one, making the Cowboys more competitive across the board. That's why the edge conversation isn't just about numbers or contracts. It's about changing the dynamic of every game. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The NFL world is buzzing today with what could be one of the most shocking moves of the season. Sources close to the league are whispering that the Dallas Cowboys have officially finalized a blockbuster deal with the Cleveland Browns, acquiring star defensive MYLES GARRETT in a trade that could instantly reshape the NFC landscape. While neither team has released all the details publicly, insiders suggest that the Cowboys have parted with a package of high draft picks and potentially a player or two to make the deal happen, a sign that Dallas is all in on a push for immediate Super Bowl contention. Garrett, widely regarded as one of the premier pass rushers in the league, has been a game-changer for Cleveland since being drafted first overall in 2017. Known for his relentless pressure, explosive first step, and ability to disrupt quarterbacks, Garrett's arrival in Dallas could fill a glaring hole on the Cowboys' defensive line, pairing him with an already talented unit that has struggled to consistently pressure the quarterback. Rumors suggest that Garrett has been intrigued by the chance to join a team with a winning culture, led by a quarterback in his prime and a coaching staff eager to contend for the Lombardi Trophy. On the other side of the deal, the Browns are reportedly entering a mini-rebuild, using the draft assets acquired from Dallas to bolster the roster across multiple positions. Cleveland fans are understandably mixed, with some mourning the departure of a homegrown superstar and others seeing this as an opportunity to reload for the future. The trade has already set social media on fire, with analysts speculating about how Garrett's presence will impact the Cowboys' defensive schemes and what it means for the NFC playoff picture. While the deal is technically official, whispers from league insiders suggest that contract negotiations and final roster moves could still influence how Garrett is integrated into Dallas. Sources indicate that Garrett is eager to make an immediate impact and that the Cowboys are planning a defensive overhaul to maximize his skill set. Speculation is also rampant about whether this trade could trigger a ripple effect across the league, with other teams reassessing their own defensive strategies in light of this seismic move. For now, the chatter continues, and the NFL rumor mill shows no signs of slowing. Cowboys fans are dreaming big, Browns fans are bracing for change, and Myles Garrett might just be on the verge of a new chapter that could redefine his career in the NFL landscape for years to come. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.